Thank you, Madam Chairman, and the ranking member and members of the committee. My name is John Nicholson, and I'm co-owner with my wife of Company Flowers and Gifts, too. We've been in business in Northern Virginia for more than 18 years and currently provide floral and gift services throughout Northern Virginia and, of course, here in Washington, D.C. Our floral business is my retirement occupation, as you pointed out, which I own and operate with my wife. We're all too familiar with the ever-increasing costs of providing health care. From a cash flow perspective, each month we must generate cash to pay for health insurance at a rate that is roughly half the amount needed to pay the rent, and usually slightly more than what's needed to pay the outstanding sales tax due on the previous month's sales. And it's also roughly equal to the amount of cash needed for the payroll-related expenses such as federal tax withholdings, Social Security, and Medicare. So in short, health insurance is a huge expense associated with our business. We have 15 part-time and full-time employees. Of the 9 full-time employees that are eligible, 7 of our employees obtain their health insurance through our business. We used to pay 100%, but then the cost increases. We've made adjustments over the years so that with our employees sharing now an additional percentage of costs, we pay half and they pay half. In addition to the expense, maintaining coverage in a market where flexibility and choice are limited is also extremely tough. We have difficult medical histories and are very reluctant to shop around for new plans because we'd be subjected to new underwriting processes, and that would increase our costs, I'm sure. But at the end of this year, that may all change, and not for the better. At the end of this year, we anticipate our rates are going to skyrocket because what's happened is our small groups and the experience of just the small groups have been told to us that they were probably going to double the rates at the end of the year. Depending on just how bad the sticker shock is, we'd have to stop paying for half of the coverage altogether or shift out of our current plan and start looking for another one, hopefully at a lower cost. I doubt it. At NFIB, we have 3 C's: cost, choice, and competition. We want to lower the costs for small business. We want to provide easier ways to shop for insurance and competition among the number of choices when buying plans. Let me suggest 3 policies that we ought to focus on. One is pooling. NFIB has long advocated that small businesses have the ability to pool their resources in purchasing insurance. Pooling shows individuals to have honest power and administrative costs reduce the risks, which in turn decrease the costs. Secondly, insurance market reform. National insurance rating rules are long overdue and will provide small employers with a marketplace that more closely reflects the large competitors that they get. For instance, the reforms are especially crucial for small group marketplace because they experience the greatest lack of choice and the most significant premium volatility. Take our plans, for example. Individual coverage through our PPO operation has increased from $406 a month to $747 a month in 2008. Let me introduce this. My insurance consultant came up with this, and I think you all have it. Let's introduce that into the record here, if we might.
Without objection.
Family coverage is even worse. In 2004, the coverage was $1,157 a month. Today, it's $2,092. So you can imagine that very few pick up that plan, and none of our employees do. Third point is the tax-based incentives. Tax assurance can come in a variety of ways, including our tax credits and equalizing tax treatment. Currently, we don't have equal tax treatment. As the employer's family, we do not get to deduct the cost of our health insurance the way we are able to deduct the cost of our employees' insurance. The SHOP Act is one approach that NFIB suggests. If the Small Business Health Options Program is an incremental approach that includes pooling, insurance, reform, and some tax-based incentives. As Congress works on these reforms, it's important to suggest how new approaches can hurt rather than help. NFIB has identified 4 potential roadblocks but for time purposes, I want to cover only three. One is employer mandates. We oppose employer mandates in any of these forms. Secondly, public option. NFIB has long advocated that Americans ought to continue to receive their health insurance and health care through the private sector, so that opposition to a public option is a direct reflection of the NFIB members' belief that coverage should be obtained in a better private section. I just don't want my health coverage operation run by efficiency like the post office or IRS with its police attitude, or even the huge Amtrak costs. Those don't add up to what we want out of health insurance. And finally, caution, do not put coverage ahead of cost containment. What we're going to be talking about today has to do with how we can work our side of the issue. But the most important thing, without question, is to have cost containment. You have the power. We don't have the power. You have the power to lean on the whole process, the doctors, the hospitals, all the rest of that side of cost containment. It's most important. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nicholson. Now the chair recognizes Mr. Grace for the purpose of introducing our next witness.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'd like to introduce Brad Thompson, who is the president of Inland Press located in Detroit, Michigan, and he's testifying today on behalf of the printing industries of America. He was born and raised in Michigan. He's the fifth generation of his family to